All right, so here we are at the final image. Now there is a couple things that I do. I have to save this as a image that other people can view and read, because the XISF file extension that PixInsight uses is unique to PixInsight, and only people that have this program would be able to view that image. So I want to remove all masks at this point, and I don't need any more previews, so we can delete those. And I want to save this file, save as, and in this case, instead of the XISF, I'm going to save it as a TIFF image to the final images folder. And so I'll call it RGB TIFF. And because Photoshop only recognizes 16-bit, I will save it as 16-bit and leave everything else. If you want to add descriptions and stuff here, you're welcome to. I don't add any of that. Once I've saved the file, I bring it into Photoshop and see if there's any opportunities to make any final tweaks to the sky background, etc. So I will do that. Launch Photoshop here. All right, I will open our TIFF image that we just saved. And Photoshop's running a little slow tonight. And there it is. Now, one of the things that I like to check is the background level. I try to keep my images consistent from one to the next. And sky background is one way that I try to keep that consistent. And so I will create a sample point with the eyedropper. If you hold Shift and just select one or two spots where you know there's sky background. Now they're gonna be different in general, but what it does is it creates some sample points over here. And I'm looking for a well-balanced sky background that has some brightness level. It's not completely pitch black, and is balanced. So just looking at these numbers, I shoot for 30, 30, 30 in most of my images, and you can see we're pretty close. There's not much adjustment to be had here. In fact, I may not adjust anything because these are all relatively close. I'm not sure that I could get, or changing anything would really improve the image at all. So, which is uncommon because I usually come in here and these are a little bit off from each other. They're not balanced 30, 30, 30, which is surprising because it's rare that I can nail that from PixInsight, so that's good. And the only other thing that I do occasionally is I will add a watermark to my image. I'll quick do that. And all right, so if you the hotkey is if you type Alt0169, I believe. Click here, 0169. It'll give you the copyright symbol. That's just the ASCII hotkey. Again, that's Alt0169, and then I type my name. Now I'm doing this in bright color right now, which I don't want to do. I want to make sure that this is there, but very, very, very faint. I will change the color to something much less obvious. I will increase the font size just a little bit. And then I will apply that. And of course, now I will bring the opacity way down so that it's there, but I definitely do not want to distract from the image. I almost want you to not even realize that it's there. And so that's it. I will tuck that away in the corner. And so it's there, but you don't realize it. And that's it. There's not really any other settings that I do other than add a water stamp and check the background level, and so we're good. I'm going to save this image as the TIFF with the watermark on it now. I'm going to save it as a PNG file, which is what I will ultimately upload to Astrobin. That's the file type that it recognizes. And then when I email it out to people, of course, those two files, TIFF and PNG, are very, very large files and not able to email. So I will also save this image as a JPEG, which is much smaller and able to be emailed. And I just leave it at a quality level 8 because that's just a show preview. I hope that people will go to the high-res image on Astrobin. All right, we are finished in Photoshop, so I can close that image, minimize that, and I will post that to Astrobin and to the Google group to share with the rest of the MES members. So just to close things out, overall we had pre-processing, which you see here. Much of this was automated with the weighted batch preprocessor script that somebody has graciously created for us. I chose to use that all the way through star alignment and then manually create the master red, green, and blue images, which then moved us on to post-processing. We prepared the images for combination. We then combined them to create a color image. We did some color balancing, background neutralization, and color calibration. And then at this point we split the images into the color data, which we worked on, and then the luminance data, which is where we did all the sharpening or deconvolution. In both cases we did some noise reduction and then stretched them permanently from linear to now nonlinear data. And then the final image refinement, which is very much dark art and to the user's taste. I went through a host of different tools that I use as I approach the final refinements of the image. I then took it into Photoshop just to check the background levels to make sure that they're consistent with my other images, and then added a watermark and saved them in a couple different formats depending on where I'm going to share this. So hopefully that was worth your time to watch this series. I know it was quite long, but that's how long it takes to process some of these images. And of course, it took me much longer in this video series because I was talking as I was describing things. I would probably say that I could have processed this image in about half the time had I not been providing commentary. All right, well, thank you, and if you have recommendations or questions for future videos, please let me know. Thanks.